Okay, so let's begin creating a spoon object. Here in front view, let's go to front view and press F3. And make sure that you are in a create tab and geometry group. And let's create a sphere over here. Click and drag about this size. Okay, and now let's move our object right here and go back to modifier tab. And in modifier tab, we can see here now the properties of this object. So let's give it a segments of around 12. Okay, and if you want to copy this shape, just drag over these adjustment arrows in radius. Okay, and next thing we need to do, if you are done with these settings, let's apply an edit poly modifier above this one, or you may browse this edit poly modifier under modifier list and choose edit poly. Okay, and now let's go back to perspective view and press F3 and change its color into gray. And okay, I'm gonna expand this and let's enter into an edge mode. Double click this edge and right click and split. And let's enter into an element mode and select this element and press delete. Select this element and scale it in y-axis. Okay, and now let's go back to front view and press F3. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is scale it in x-axis and enter into vertex mode so that we can select these vertices and scale it down and move it up. Select this, scale this down in x-axis and move it up as well. Alright, now let's enter into an edge mode so that we can select these edges and hold the shift key on your keyboard, and using the move tool while holding the shift key, move it up into y-axis. Okay, and the height should be at this point. Okay, and now let's scale this flat. Okay, and go back to vertex mode. Select these vertices and scale it even more. Okay, go back to edge mode, select these edges, right click and choose connect. These box settings, click that, and in connect edge parameter, let's add some more additional segments, 3, and press check. Okay, so I'm gonna select these vertices and scale this flat. Okay, and now exit into our editing in here by turning this off and apply a shell modifier above this layer. So I'm gonna minimize this and apply shell modifier, and if you cannot see a shell modifier in here, just browse it over under modifier list. Okay, so I'm gonna just click this shell modifier and go back to perspective view and press F3, and shell modifier adds a thickness into our object. And here in outer amount, let's drag these adjustment arrows to give it more thickness. Okay, so I think that should be enough, and apply and add additional segments at the edge of our object. Here in segments, put a number of 2 and apply an edit poly modifier above this. Okay, so next let's enter into a polygon mode. Select this polygon, hold the Alt key and minus selection, and delete that edges above this area. And now with these objects selected, let's enter into an isolate selection. Okay, and let's go to into left view, press letter L on your keyboard and browse over here, navigate over here and make sure that you are still in polygon mode. Select these polygons, and using the scale tool, let's scale it into X axis and move this in Y axis. Okay, and now let's exit into our editing here. Click that, minimize that, and add turbo smooth modifier. And if you cannot see this turbo smooth modifier over here, you can just browse that under modifier list and go back to perspective view. And if you are not satisfied with its smoothness, just increase the turbo smooth modifier iteration to 2. Okay, and now deselect everything and check if everything looks good. Okay, and exit isolate selection mode. And I think we are done creating the metal part of this spoon. Okay, so then the next thing we need to create is the plastic part of this object over here. Okay, so now select this object once more. Hold the shift key on your keyboard, and using the move tool, we have to move this into Z axis while holding the shift key, and it's gonna duplicate our object into a new object, and choose copy and press OK. And now let's delete the turbo smooth above this one. Right click here and collapse to collapse all, and it's gonna collapse all modifiers in a single editable polygon. Click yes, and that's it. Okay, now let's enter into a polygon mode. Select these polygons and press Ctrl I on our keyboard and delete that part, and go back to front view. Select everything and move it up. Enter into vertex mode. Select these vertices and scale this flat. Okay, and now select everything, and we have to scale it. Go back to perspective view and scale it bigger. Okay, and in front view, go back to front view and press F3, and using the move tool, move it up. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is scale this down, of course, and move it down. Okay, so go back to perspective view and press F3. Okay, and enter into a border mode so that we can select these borders. Hold the control key to select the other one. Okay, and with these borders selected, right click and cap. Enter into polygon mode. Select these polygons. Hold the control key so that we can select the other one here. Isolate selection. Zoom out. And right click and choose inset tool. And using that inset tool, try dragging over our selected faces just a bit. Okay, and right click to end the process of inset tool. Right click once more and access the cut tool, and using the cut tool, we have to cut these selected faces from vertex to vertex. But before that, let's turn on the snap 3D snap, and right click that icon and check the vertex and uncheck all of these others. Okay, close, and start cutting. Click and click to the other vertex and right click if you are done and repeat the process. Okay, and right click, and now let's exit into editing in here and apply a turbo smooth modifier above this layer. Minimize this and turbo smooth modifier, right? And increase its iteration around 2. Okay, and deselect, exit isolate selection, and check if everything looks okay to you. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is add a little more detail over here. Okay, select this. I forgot to turn off this snap. Select this object and right click and clone and choose copy. And okay, so of course we have a new copy of this original object, and I'm gonna turn let's right click this one, and I'm gonna collapse all of these I'm gonna collapse all of these modifiers. Right click, collapse all, and press yes. Okay, and you can see here now that this object turns into an editable mesh. Right click that object and convert to edit polygon. Okay, and in edit polygon, let's enter into a what you call this polygon mode. And in polygon mode, select these polygons, press Ctrl I on your keyboard to invert your selection, and delete that part. Alright, the next thing we need to do is to select everything. Right click and choose extrude box settings, and click this drop down arrow and choose local normal and reduce the extrude value. Okay, and press check. Okay, and now the next thing we need to do is go to edge mode, press F3, double click these edges as well as this one, hold the control key on your keyboard. Okay, so make sure that you selected the right edges. Press F3, right click, and now choose the chamfer box settings. And here in chamfer box settings, let's reduce the distance of this chamfer by dragging these adjustment arrows. Okay, and add more additional segments at the center of this chamfer by entering a value of number 2. Okay, number 3 or 2. So I think that should be enough. And now press enter. Check. Go to vertex mode and press F3 on our keyboard. Select these vertices above. Press F3 and move it downward in Z axis. Okay, and now enter into an edge mode. Select this edge, so any of this edge you can select, and hold the shift key on your keyboard and select the other one beside your current selected edges. Okay, right click and choose the box setting of this connect tool, and make sure that those parameters are set into its default value 1 0 0, and press check. Okay, right click and choose this box setting under extrude tool. Okay, and in extrude tool, let's set these parameters into 0 first. Okay, so everything should be 0 first, and now let's try adjusting this arrow by dragging that. Okay, and it's gonna add additional segments out of these segments at the center. So we have to give it a little distance. Okay, and now let's try adjusting this arrow and pressing this down arrow here. Okay, and if you're done, click this check icon and then double click these edges, hold the control key and double click these edges as well. And with these edges selected, right click and choose the chamfer box settings. Okay, and in chamfer box settings, now let's click this arrow down until the distance between this chamfer narrows down. Okay, and press check if you are done and exit editing, minimize this one, deselect, and now let's check if everything goes well, and I think we have done a nice job in here. And now let's select this spoon here in group and click the group and name it spoon and press OK. Now select this cup and then this one, group it and name it cup and press OK. Select this object and name it mug cup and deselect. Alright, and that's it. So the next thing we need to do is to set up camera, lights, and global illumination into our scene. Okay, so see you in the next video.